Okay, so my name's Andy Ellsworth. I know I've met a lot of you through the years, whether territory meetings or at DAC days. Just first want to say thank you to you guys for coming out. You know, you being at this event is an investment in yourself. It's an investment, we look at it as an investment in DAC as well, gaining that knowledge, gaining that trust. So the last couple of years, I've talked on sales quite a bit, on building sales, on how to take care of your customers. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to tailor on that a little bit, jump on that a little bit. Topic today is building generational customers. And Tina called me a couple weeks ago and said, hey, I need your topic. And I think in just short time, we kind of come together, we decided this, but the more I worked on it and the more that I looked at it, kind of how I wanted to go through it, what I want to do, and we couldn't because all those programs were printed, but what I want to do is change that. Instead of building generational customers, we're going to build generational success. How many of you in here is DAC your only income? Right? Yep, all of you in here, majority of you in here have another business. And I think this is something that we're going to talk about today that you can take home and apply to that other business as well as DAC. And that's, you know, I know DAC is a supplemental for a lot of you guys, a hobby for a lot of you guys. So I want to help you with whatever business that you have. So we're going to talk about building generational success today and how we do that. We're going to break it down into 5 separate groups. We're going to talk about education, hard work, confidence, vision, and resilience. And I think there's a specific order that these need to be done in to achieve that success. But before we even talk about those, what's success look like for you as an individual? And we'll talk kind of on the DAC side right now. Is success you meeting your $3,500 minimum? Is success you breaking $100,000? Is it getting 5 new customers? What does success look like for you as an individual? And I think that's something that before we even go through these steps, I want you all to think about that. And think back next year when I'm sitting here, I'm going to reflect on my previous year. How do I know if it's a success or not? So success is defined differently for all of us. You know, some days success is, I didn't get sick, I didn't fall over. You know, other days success is, I sold $10,000 today. So define it for yourself. What does the success look like for you? And I also think it doesn't, I got ahead of myself there. Building generational customers, it doesn't start with the customer. It starts with the individual. It starts with the salesperson. And going through these 5 steps here, I think you'll see why I say that. I think you've got to take care of some things first before you can develop that good customer. So, you know, if you define success, the accomplishment of an aim or a purpose. So you got to have an aim or a purpose. You've got to set a goal first. We'll talk about setting goals. I know I have a lot in the past as well. So I truly believe the first step of being successful is education. How can you sell something if you don't know what you're selling? You can't. You might for a little bit, and you might for maybe a novice person but then when you get that hard question, you're not going to be able to answer them. So it starts with education, and I think DAC does a great job, I should say, in providing you guys with education. You guys all invested in us today. You know, we invest in you. We want to provide you with education. Knowing your products is key, number 1. I always tell people, maybe you're new. You know, there's some people in here that have sold DAC for 30 plus years. There's some people that have sold DAC for 6 months. Knowing your products, you don't have to know them all at once. Start with what you're comfortable with. You know, maybe you fed the oil or the orange in your barn. Start there because you can tell that story. You can say, hey, you know, I fed this product and I saw my horse do this, this, and this. I saw this change consistently with my animals. But then build on that knowledge. You know, build on those products. Know your resources. Again, I think we do a tremendous job giving you guys resources. Events like this, access to Chemin, PHN, Alltech, your territory manager, bother them. That's what we're here for. You know, people will call and say, hey, I hate to bother you. No, that's my job. Bother away. Just not at 5 in the morning. Wait until at least 6. But bother away. That's what we're here for. You can call the other territory managers at 5 in the morning. I'm okay with that. Just not me. So make sure that you know your resources. And again, interesting story, I do a DAC Days Midwest. And last 2 years, we've been down in Jamesport, Missouri. And there's a gentleman that comes in, and he sells product for another company. And he's come the last 2 years, and I was talking to him at a horse sale the other day. And I said, Lester, why are you going to come? Or he asked me where our DAC Days was again this year. I said, it'll be determined pretty soon. And he goes, well, I want to come. And I just asked him, I said, Lester, you don't sell our products. You don't use any of our products. Why are you coming to our events? He goes, because I learn education. He said, the company I sell for, they don't do this. They don't have speakers come in. They don't have veterinarians come in. They don't do any of that. He said, I come here and I learn, and I can take it with whatever. Now, he's taking it and putting it towards another company. You guys are taking it and putting it towards DAC. So know your resources, build your team. You're only as good as the team around you. We've talked a lot about team today. And that team could be family members. It could be a veterinarian. It could be a hay salesman. That customer comes to you and feeding them DAC products not going to help them, but maybe they need better quality hay. You can say, hey, this guy up here, he's got some good hay, or he'll be able to find some good hay for you. So build that team out, practice, practice, practice. I think this is a big one. Practice on customers or on friends, practice on family. Maybe you've got an event coming up and you just want to brush up a little bit, have them throw questions at you, call your territory manager. But practice. And then evolve. Never stop learning. Don't get complacent. And this is in sales, this is in your business at home, this is your life at home. Always look to improve. What can we do to improve? Part of that evolution part is reflection. I think to learn and to evolve, you have to reflect on what you've done. In sales, you can reflect on the positives and the negatives. I think too often people focus on the positives. They get all hyped, oh man, this worked. You don't learn a ton from those positives. Focus on the negatives. Maybe you go into an event, you don't sell anything, or maybe you go into a barn and you don't sell anything to that guy. When you walk back out of it, maybe they tell you no, or I'm using something else, say, man, what could I have done differently? Is it a situation where, hey, that guy's just flat having a bad day? We all know that. Sometimes you walk up to someone, you're going, hey, I'll come back tomorrow. Something like that. Or is it a situation where, maybe I should have said the same thing, but I should have said it differently. So reflect on those failures. Why didn't it work? Take notes on that. I'm big on taking notes on things so you can look back at it. But evolve and evolve and evolve, and that's going to help you grow. And this is, I think, in personal life, family, and definitely in sales. You've got to reflect. You've got to reflect on good. You've got to reflect on bad. But it starts here. You can be the most confident person in the world, but if you don't know what you're selling, you're going to be exposed. So make sure that education is taken care of. DAC, again, I mentioned earlier, coming to events like this, the online webinars, those are tremendous. Monthly webinars for you dealers. I would love to see every single one of you on there every month. And it's kind of frustrating to us because the year-end one, we'll have, what do we have, Tina? 150-ish? Probably around there. But then our monthly ones, we only have 20 or 30. Well, the year-end one, we offer sale price. Everyone likes a sale, right? But we want you on those monthly ones as well because of the knowledge that you can gain. I know some of you in here can pop it up on your phone. Some of you can't, but you can still call in and listen in on it. And I think you can gain something from there. So make sure you're using those resources. It's going to help the education part. So that's definitely the first step. From here, establishing yourself as a resource, it starts with education. That's going to build confidence. Did I skip one there? Hold on one sec. Oh, no, that was on education delivers confidence. That was on the last one. So in here, you obviously all know that picture there. Cart before the horse definitely doesn't work. There's an order to it. I said earlier, you can be the most confident person in the world, but if you don't have that education taken care of, if you don't have the base down, you're going to struggle in sales. So make sure you're doing things in the right order. And then we get into the vision. I struggled with this a little bit. I think this could have been maybe the first thing. You need that vision. Why are we doing this? What's our goal? In the vision part, you're setting that goal. So you've got something to work for. When you're looking at a long-term goal versus short-term goal, set those. Short-term, maybe, hey, what do I want to do this month, sales-wise? Long-term, what do I want to do this year, sales-wise? And I know I spoke, I think it was 2 years ago, about setting goals. And I think this is one where it can get really intimidating. Maybe you want to sell $60,000 this year. Man, that's a lot of money. $60,000, that's intimidating, that's scary. But if you break it down per month, that's $5,000 per month. That's not as scary. You break it down per week or per day, it's a lot less than that. So break down into smaller goals. And what this helps us do, if you break it down into that monthly, that weekly, or even that daily, it helps you revisit it. You come back to it. And I strongly suggest to all of you guys, if you're not either tracking your own personal sales, call your territory manager and say, hey, where am I at this month? Where am I at for the year to date? I know you guys can all keep track of it. It's a lot easier for us. All I have to do is email Debbie and say, hey, Debbie, can you send me that report? And I've got that number right there. So look at that, but don't wait until 6 months into the year. Because if your goal was $5,000 a month and you're halfway through and you're only at $10,000, you're way behind. Revisit every month. You look at that month, say, hey, I'm $300 behind this month. What do I need to do next month to make that $300 up? But man, if you wait for that 6-month mark and you're $20,000 behind, that's intimidating as well. That's scary. So stay on top of those goals. Set your goals and stay on top of it. Break it down. Share your vision. I think this is a big one. We can all make goals in our mind, but then that goal gets a little foggy, doesn't it? Oh, it's 60,000. Maybe I told myself 50,000. Maybe it's 40,000. Share your goal with someone. Everett and I, in the last group, I asked Everett, I know he works out all the time, and I know in the exercise, you have a accountability buddy? Yep. And who is it? My wife. His wife. I think we all have an accountability buddy in our wife if you're married, so I definitely do. But it's someone that's going to say, hey, where are you at on your goals? You know, maybe share with a customer, share with a dealer, and say, hey, I want to sell this month this much this year. And that dealer, when you see him, say, hey, where are you at on your goals? I always enjoy that when guys ask, hey, where are you at? You getting where you need to be? Oh, you're behind? And then they kind of jab you. It's like, let's go. You know, what are you doing? Work harder. So, but I like that because it's got someone that's holding you accountable. It's got someone that reminds you to revisit those goals and make sure you're getting there. So, but on there, I've got the hard work crossed out, and hard work is extremely important. But if you don't have a vision, if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know where you're trying to get to, that hard work, I've got a really good friend, and he is the hardest worker I know. I mean, sun up to sundown. But he never commits to one thing. He never focuses on one thing. He does 15 different things. So he never really gets anywhere. He just spins his circle. He knows he's working hard. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know what he's doing, but he's definitely working hard. So you've got to take care of that vision. You've got to know why. Why am I getting up at 6 in the morning going out here? Why am I setting up at this event? Why am I going to this farm call? And it'll help you be more successful there. And then the last one, or second to last, I should say, it goes back into the hard work part. And I think it's more important to work with a purpose. Time is our most precious commodity. That's something we cannot get back. We can't buy more. You know, most money in the world. You're not going to buy more time. So work with a purpose. There's limited hours that we can do this. Make sure you're picking the right event to go to. You know, maybe it's something you call other dealers that have gone to an event like that. Maybe you call your territory manager and say, hey, there's, you know, maybe a barrel race or maybe a dog show or something. Do you think I should go to it and set up? You know, pick their brain on it a little bit. Try not to waste time. Get ahead of yourself and pick the right event. Work your goals and your vision. Again, this goes back to revisiting. I can't stress that enough. Every month, maybe every week, go back and look at, hey, you know, I'm a little behind here. But then reflect on it. Ask yourself why. You know, I realize the real world gets in the way. You know, maybe there's a sickness in your family. Maybe there, you know, was something that came up and maybe you couldn't go to an event that month, but you've got a couple the next month that are going to make up. So again, reflecting there. Avoid the chaos. And this is a big one. You know, today's world is so distracting. There's so many things that can pull us away from our goals. When I talk about avoiding the chaos, and this is more on going to an event and work, be prepared. You know, Nicole Varee, I think 2 years ago, made a little list on what she takes when she sets up an event. And if you guys want that, get with your territory manager. And it's stuff maybe you don't think about. It's bags for product. It's tape to hang things up. It's little things. You know, it's ticket books. It's pens. You know, it's little things like that. If you can have that taken care of, it's stressful to go set up an event sometimes. But if you've got all that taken care of, it's one less thing you have to worry about. and it helps you avoid that chaos. Then you can focus on the actual event, taking care of those customers. If you want that list, I know Tina probably has it, or get with your territory manager as well. And then listen. I think this is the fault of today's world. I think too many people listen to respond rather than listening to understand. So again, that time is very important. You know, whether you're working a booth with a customer or it's a conversation at a show or wherever it may be, truly be present. Be there and listen to what that person's saying. In sales, I found when I talk with people about their horse, before they get done, I know which product I want to feed that horse. Because somewhere in there, they're giving those clues. They're talking about that horse's diet. They're talking about those issues. But let them get through that whole story. Hear the whole story before you respond. I think listening is a skill, so it can be learned. And I think it's a skill that we all need to practice on. I really do. And I think, especially in sales, listen, learn the need of that customer. If you truly listen to that person, they're going to tell you what you need. Then you can get them with the right product or help them out in the way that is going to best fit them. And then be tough. That's hard sometimes in sales. Who likes to be told no? It stinks, doesn't it? It's no fun. You know, in sales, there's going to be people that aren't going to buy. You're going to get rejected a lot. And I grew up hunting a lot with my dad, and we didn't have a whole lot of land ourselves, but we'd always go knock on doors. Hey, I'd go with him and I watch him. I thought he was Superman. He'd walk up to any door, boom, boom, boom. Hey, can I hunt your land? I think he uses my brother and I as a ploy because we're sitting there like little boys like this. Please, you know. But, you know, he'd knock on any door. And I remember one day, we went to like 6 different doors. They all said no. And I'm sitting there going, you know, I'm half crying, a little boy like that. He goes, so what? They told us no. They didn't take our car. They didn't hurt us. They told us no. We went to that 7th door. We got a yes. That all outweighed it. So don't be afraid to hear no. You know, move on. If that person tells you no, maybe reflect on that a little bit. Why? Why didn't I make that sale? But you're going to get rejected. Whether it's maybe they don't have the money to buy that product right now. Maybe they're using another product. Maybe they don't trust you as a resource. You know, maybe they don't know the product. So you got to be tough. Believe in yourself. Believe in what you're selling. I think this is a big one. You know, there's a lot of products out there. And so many people want us to compare to this product or compare to this product. And I'll be honest, I don't give those products a whole lot of time a day. I might look at them a little bit, but I don't dig into them. I believe in what we're selling. I know what we have that's going to set us apart. If I tried to learn the million other products out there, you'd drive yourself crazy. So believe in your product and know your product. Goes back to that education part. Stay focused. I think that's another one. There's a lot of distractions in this world. If you stay focused, it's going to help you a lot. Setbacks will happen. Now what? I say so what? They are definitely going to happen in life, in business. You know, there's always something that comes up. Learn from it. That is the big one. Learn from it and move on. Don't let it throw you off course. And then stay positive. And I think this is a big one from territory manager standpoint because we are your guys' lifeline to the office, right? A lot of you don't talk to the office a whole lot. We're your lifeline. And we just had a price increase in January. I hate price increases as much as everyone else. And I had some phone calls, guys grumbling and saying, oh, you know, I'm not going to be able to sell it. Why are we doing a price increase? And number one, what hasn't gone up in price in today's world? You know, it's been a couple of years since we've had a price increase. That's an unfortunate part of it. We're in a business. But I always focus on DAC will never compromise quality over cost. Quality comes with a cost, a higher cost. We'll never compromise that quality over cost. We could make a cheaper product for you. Is it going to work? I always go back to, hey, cheap pay is not cheap pay. You save money today, you lose money tomorrow. You know, and same with DAC. And I think the way that I portray and the way that you guys portray to your customers, they may go, man, that price went up. It did. Quality comes with a cost. But that quality, you're going to get the results that you want. That change. I've had guys rumble and grumble about changing products. Oh, man, why'd you change this product? I could say, I don't know why they did it. That's stupid, RJ. Yeah. I won't say that. Between my wife and I, sometimes I will, but not in public. But right there, that customer is going to go, oh, that company, the guy selling the product doesn't even believe in them. Why should I believe in them? Instead, I say, yeah, we did change it, but we changed it to improve it. And this is what we changed. We had some issues with palatability, so we changed the base. Or we had an issue here, so we changed it to improve it. And that's one thing, and Randy talked on it earlier, Tanya hit it on it earlier. Change is scary. That cortisol release that Jenny talked about, it's scary. But I guarantee to you guys, we always change to improve. Always. We're never going to change to make a worse product. We're going to change to improve that product. So stay positive, whether it's in your personal life, whether it's you talking to customers. Again, the price increase, it's kind of the elephant in the room sometimes. I address it right away. We did have a price increase. Who hasn't had a price increase in there? So hopefully we won't see any more here in the near future, long-term future as well. But that's just part of it. So that is kind of it in a nutshell. I know Everett had something that he wanted to chime in a little bit on. So I don't know if you want to grab a mic or they can probably hear you. Just talk, Everett. Just talk loud. Or
couple challenges and just spinning off of what Andy was talking about. RJ's business coach spoke to the team yesterday. He kind of alluded to that fact, and he shared a little diagram with us, and I don't have pen and paper to share with you all, but if you can imagine a bell curve on our path to success, at the bottom, it absolutely sucks. And as we traject upward in our DAX sales or in our professional business lives, what we want to do is avoid becoming automatic. Is because when you become automatic is when you stop growing. For some of you here, you've had the same clients for however long. Perhaps you've been stuck in a rut with your DAC business and you don't know what else to do. What Kevin West challenged us, each of us, is that as we have this trajectory upwards, once we hit about 80%, what we're going to do is start a line. We're going to have this little dip and then start another bell curve to traject upwards. A couple things on this curve is that between that 80 and 100% is when what Kevin West described as the hamster wheel. That's when we start doing things without thinking. It's when business just becomes normal, natural, open houses every year, DAC meetings every year, and it's the same thing and nothing's changing. Our clientele doesn't change. If we want to have a new path for success, we do have to have this dip. In between this dip, in the bell curve, it creates this circle. That circle is called chaos. It is when we start to leave the curve and have a new path and a trajectory upwards, there's going to be inevitable chaos. Challenges, if you will, if you don't like the word chaos. But what Andy has pointed out is that control what we can control. Mm-hmm. Okay? There's going to be challenges. There's going to be bumps in the curves, bumps in the road. But this is all to a new path of success. Yeah. I do want to point on go ahead, comment?
Well, go ahead and then I'll.
Okay. I did want to spin off of his first bit about education and educating yourselves, and that is verbalizing the things that you're learning. When you have a webinar or as you leave from here, verbalize to somebody what you've learned.
Share that.
Absolutely. It becomes, you put it into memorization. Yep. One of the things that Andy, I, and the other DAC reps, that when we do seminars, the reason we have the knowledge that we do is because 30 to 40 times per year, we are sharing this knowledge. And it's easy for us to get in this rut of automation. Mm-hmm. Andy and I talk to each other several times a week, picking each other's brains, how to improve, how to make things more fresh, to have that new sense of business. So a challenge to you all, find a way to get out of that hamster wheel, and 2, take your knowledge and do something with it. Share with somebody.
And it's easy to get complacent, I was talking to Justin. I don't know if Justin's in here. I don't know if I've seen him in the group yet. Justin Russell. I was talking to Justin. His sales doubled this year. Significant change. And I asked Justin, I said, what'd you do differently? He goes, I've always in the past, I've always just gone to open shows and just sold to that group of people. He was comfortable there. He said, last year I went to rodeos and I went to barrel races. He got out, he was tired of just staying where he was, and he tried something new, and he doubled his sales. So I think it is easy. Man, it works, it's comfortable, and this is in your own business. Hey, we're making something, and it's selling. We're comfortable with it. We can make it easy. We can make it mindlessly. But what if you tweak that? What if you improve that? And I think that's one thing that DAC does is we're always improving. So I think we kind of take care of some of that on our side, but you guys maybe sometimes need to tweak maybe your sales approach, maybe the event that you go to, or maybe the inventory that you stock, change that just a little bit and see if it doesn't kind of get you out of that hamster wheel. So good. Let's I know it's kind of a short and kind of a fast way to go through things. It looks like we've got a couple minutes here. If you guys have any questions at all, I'd be more than happy to try to address them for you. Daniel?
Everett was talking about repeating things to each other. I don't know how often other people hear this, but I was taught from numerous people that it takes 5 times for somebody to hear something positive to keep it in mind, but it takes 1 time to hear something negative to remember it.
Yep. That's an unfortunate part of our world. Negatives spread a lot faster as well. So, yeah, definitely.
So if we repeat the good stuff, we can remember it, but we need to hear it 5 times before we do it.
Yep, and share, and that is one thing. I know there's 250 of us in here today, but if you guys all go share something you learned, that doubles. They share, that triples, and it just builds and builds and builds. So good, thank you, Daniel. Any others, guys? Everything you wanted to add, Doug? Tina? Debbie?
If some of you are shy and you're looking for good conversation starters and you want to have what's often called loaded questions, you're asking a question so that you can respond with a statement. Something that just comes to my mind is when I'm at a trade show or an event or any sort of horse show, really, somebody approaches me that I don't know. I ask them, have you heard of us? You'd be surprised, some people still have not heard about DAC. And do you believe in top dress?
Yeah, opens up that conversation. Or, hey, are you having any issues with your horse? It opens up that conversation. So,
and then you can throw in, and you'd have to think about that. There's a lot of ways you can take that. DAC has a lot of research. Technology has come a long way over the past 30 years. DAC has the research to know that our supplements and our products work, and we have 42 years of business experience to back that up also. So I'd love to tell you more if you've got time.
And we're out of time. So, hey, thanks, guys.